Well, I've got to do some sweeping today because most of the leaves have fallen off the trees. You can hear all the rustling underneath my feet. And I also thought I would do a review of some lawn sweepers. I've had one for years and one not so long. So let's get into this. Okay, these are my two sweepers, an Agri-Fab and a Craftsman. The Agri-Fab I bought March 2020 for $278, and I purchased the Craftsman April 2014 for $299. Both of them had the same design flaw. They have plastic wheels and gears that end up stripping out. So if you overwork it, the only thing that happens is you just strip the gears out. By the second season, I had stripped out those gears and the wheels on my Agri-Fab and had a hard time finding replacements. The only ones I could find online that I ordered were the wrong size. So I ended up putting those on my table saw to help me wheel it around. And there you can see the teeth that end up getting stripped out. I had the Craftsman sweeper for probably about 4 years before I ended up replacing the drive wheels. The bottom edge of both of these sweepers are all bent up from hitting tree roots in my yard. So now you can see why they call it a sweeper. As you pull it, the wheels turn that paddle and it literally just sweeps the leaves and pine straw up into the hopper. So on this one, to adjust how close those sweepers are to the ground, you just pull this pin and pull this out and you can adjust it, and that moves the wheel up and down, which raises and lowers that sweeper. But once you have it set, you have it set. The arm that attaches to the lawnmower on the Agri-Fab model can be rotated to the side, and if you wanted to, you could actually take the hopper off of it to make it easier to store. But regardless, they both take up a lot of room. At one point, they were inside of my barn, but over the years, they've moved outside just because of the amount of space they take up for storage purposes. Both sweepers had poles that went inside the hoppers to keep them from collapsing, but I prefer to operate them without the poles. And this one works the same way. It's got sweepers. And if you want to adjust it, you loosen that bolt there and you can adjust the frame to take the sweeper closer or farther away from the ground. This one's not nearly as easy to adjust. But once you have it set, you have it set. This one really is getting to the end of its life cycle. Everything is starting to rust completely through. So let's hook this up to the lawnmower and see how it goes. First chance I get, I'll end up doing a product review on my Ohio steel dump trailer. It's worked fairly well too. All of them are the same way. There's just a pin I use. So with a little bit of effort, you can slide these things around. I'll put the pin in, flip the bag back up, and then pay attention to the cord that attaches to it. You don't want to wrap that around the sweeper. Okay, the first thing I do when I'm going to sweep the yard is I go ahead and rake around all the beds. That way the sweeper doesn't have to get so close and I can just pick it all up in one pass. The second reason why I rake around all the beds is to ensure that the wheel has good contact with the ground. Because the wheels have the gearing mechanism inside of them that turn the paddles that end up pushing everything into the hopper, if they don't have a good contact with the ground and drag or slide, then it just doesn't work at all. Something else I do as I rake around these beds is if I end up with a row of leaves, I make sure they're narrow enough that as the sweeper goes over it, both wheels are on the ground. It might take several passes of the sweeper going over an area for it to pick up all the leaves. So as you sweep and pick up leaves and other material, the hopper will get heavier, and that additional weight on the sweeper actually makes it work more efficiently. I do have a problem with some sandy areas in my yard. The sweeper will actually pick up some of that sand, and if you wait too long to empty it, it can be quite difficult trying to lift the bag up and empty it out. So this is what it looked like before I swept. You can see the volume of leaves on the ground. And now you can see there's hardly any leaves there as I empty the bin out by the trampoline. So I have switched to the Agri-Fab sweeper, and we're in the grassier part of the backyard. It seems like going in different directions helps loosen the leaves out of the grass when you're using these sweepers. And you can see they make quick work of getting all the leaves up. So the last bit we'll do back here is a small area that's by the barn where there's lots of leaves. Now this is unedited. This is how quick it picks up the leaves and how quick the bin fills up with leaves. So when I first set up these two sweepers, it took quite a bit of trial and error to get the brushes right. If they're too low, it's hard for the wheels to turn them and you'll end up stripping out the gears. And if they're too high, it just brushes over the top of the leaves of the pine straw and doesn't really throw it into the hopper. It can be extremely frustrating the first time you do this because you'll do about 2 or 3 passes through a pile of leaves, and then you'll have to stop, get off the mower, adjust it up or down, and then repeat the process to see if you got it adjusted right. It's a lot easier on the Agri-Fab with that pin and all the little holes so you can just go up or down and adjust. It takes a little bit of practice to empty these, but I have found that if you back up and keep the wheels right at the edge of where the bed is, I can dump the leaves and keep the leaves in the bed and not pull a bunch of them back out where I've already swept. I find it extremely easy to empty these sweepers. I know I've got a really big yard, but I can do in one day what would have taken me a week with these sweepers. If I had to give a product review, I would recommend either one of these sweepers. It seems like this is an all-day affair, but the backyard is swept. That's what it's like when you do leaves. I'll make another video when we do the front yard because that's almost all pine straw. And you got to see both of the different sweepers working. I believe the reason why I bought the Agri-Fab is because I needed parts for my Craftsman and I needed to sweep the yard, so I went and bought another one. And you can see there's quite a few piles of leaves. And it only takes a minute or two with the rake to push them out. One of the things I had to learn is you hold that rope and you never let it go, because if you drop it, the little sweeper part will sweep it up and wrap it all around itself and you won't be going anywhere. You can see the reason why I did it. The grass is trying to grow and it's going to get so long that it's going to almost be impossible to sweep it. So there you have it. Sweeping the yard with a 42-inch sweeper. A heck of a lot easier than trying to rake it. Hope you enjoyed that. Like, subscribe, check out the playlist, and I'll see you in that next video. Thanks.